Paranormal. I, of course, am your humble host, Gabriel Von Graves, where every road we travel carries a story and every story brings us closer to the unseen. Alongside me, as always, the calm with the chaos, the voice that walks the line between intuition and investigation. My co-host, Raven Knight. Welcome, Raven. How you doing today?
I'm wonderful. And how are you, Gabriel?
I'm good, thank you. Together, we don't just explore the paranormal, we step into it. Before we begin tonight's journey, we want to take a moment to acknowledge one of those places that continue to believe in what we do here. Shaker Cigar Bar in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wonderful place. Isn't that right, Raven? Yes? Okay. A place rich with history, atmosphere, and the stories of its own. Their support allows us to continue bringing these conversations, these investigations, and these experiences to you, our wonderful audience. And behind the scenes, everything you see here tonight is produced through Unbox Media LLC, a growing platform dedicated to storytelling, insight, and the exploration across multiple worlds. From Darkwoods Paranormal, this wonderful show we're doing tonight, to the Manor Podcast, to Unboxing Your Business, and our newest adventure, The Philosophy of Human Nature, we're building something intentional. Our newly revamped website is going to be on its way soon, a place where all these stories, conversations, experiences will live together. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about ghosts, it's about people, it's about memory, and it's about spaces we pass through. And ones that refuse to let us go. Those pesky paranormal spirits. Isn't that right, Raven? Okay, great, thanks. There was a night not
You
too
asked
long
me
ago. Sorry. There was
on
a night
mute.
not too long ago, a quiet stretch of road somewhere between towns that don't show up on most maps. Of course, no lights, no signal, just the hum of the tires and the feeling that something was falling just behind us. We've stood in places where time feels thinner, where voices carry just a little too clearly, where the past doesn't feel like the past at all. And that's what this show is built on. Not just investigations, but the experiences. So tonight, we take a different path because sometimes the most powerful understanding of the unseen doesn't come from chasing it, but from listening it with those who live in the rhythm of it. Our guest this evening is someone who embodies that connection. Angelina, known as the Ozark Mystic, weaves together astronomy, land based wisdom, and storytelling in a way that reconnects people to something deeper, a natural rhythm to place and to themselves. She's a writer, contributing a regular astronomy column to her local newspaper. Very cool. And the owner of a holistic healing art space where she hosts classes, gatherings, and creative workshops. Very, very cool. But more than that, she's someone who listens to the land, to the cycles, to the quiet truths most people overlook. Angelina, welcome to Darkwoods Paranormal. How are you today?
I'm excited to be here. That was an awesome
Well,
intro.
you are an awesome guest. We're very, very delighted to have you.
We are very delighted to have you. So thanks for joining us. Should we start with the most cliche question of all? Gabriel, what do you think?
Well, if it's coming from you, it's going to be cliche. Let's do it.
Ouch, ouch, right off the bat.
Yeah.
How did you get your start? So there's a lot about you that he kind of mentioned here in the intro, but how did you get your start in all of the things that you do, and how does that tie into the paranormal?
So I actually have always been pretty sensitive to everything, and I was raised in a family where I wasn't raised by like a real Christian family in the South because my mom is from Hollywood, California, and so she was kind of raising me like that, but I was in the South. And I always wanted to move back to California because that's like where her other family we would go visit were. So I was always trying to bash when I was real little. I would be trying to bash Arkansas so we could move to like Hollywood. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, but it's magic here." And she was just always like pointing out how everything was so magical. And I think that it just like kind of programmed me to look at everything and think of it like, how is this speaking to me? Like since I was very young. Yeah.
Well, Arkansas is a very beautiful place. As we were speaking earlier, before we started this wonderful podcast tonight, one of our favorite places is Eureka Springs. You've been, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I love Eureka. So Eureka is in the Ozarks, and it's on the other side of the state, kind of from where I'm at.
Hmm.
Um, Eureka and that area has a really eerie vibe, you know,
Hmm.
and part of listening to the land, okay, like anything paranormal, whenever people are like talking about anything paranormal, a big part of what is making anything like that happen in your wherever you're at has to do with the actual, like, metaphysics and quantum mechanics and everything of the land and your environment, right? And so the reason why the Ozarks are very interesting as far as all of this goes is because there's, well, and just the like Arkansas up here, because that's, you've got Ouachita and then you got the Delta area. So there's different sections. Like Arkansas has like different things going on. But on the top half, that's more of the Ozarks. And you're sitting on all these caves and caverns, and there's lakes and rivers. So that's the mystical Arkansas. The fact that, you know, you're sitting on a whole nother world. There's a whole nother world under us, you know. And anytime, whenever two different bodies of water that are natural water cross, that creates a confluence, which puts up like an oscillating field, into the air. You can't always see this, but in the water, it'll be happening because when two waters meet, they're kind of fighting for where they're going to belong, and it changes the field around it. And so those are called portals a lot of time. And the natives thought of those as portals whenever you would hit these different crossing energies. Some of these places, could be anywhere, but whenever you're in the Ozarks, you've got this hot mixture because you've got quartz running through everything, right? So quartz is like piezoelectric. So any pressure and it's turning into kind of, ether, electricity. And it's in the water and it's in almost all the rocks across the state. So that in and of itself is changing energy pockets in different places. But then under you, you have got these caves and caverns and just these worlds under there that are, I actually think that they say the billionaires buy up all the caves because they actually believe that there's something going on in there. There's like entities, or there's something, that they're looking for if you go deep enough. But that all comes back to dimensional shifts. Like you go down in a cave, you go down, down, down. Well, the electromagnetic energy is changing. And so you're going to be more likely to see something, the further down you go. We've got some caves up here, though. One of them is called Blowing Cave in Cushman, and it's not far from where I'm at. And this is a giant cave opening, and the town used to use it, before air conditioning. Everyone like did their town stuff in there and everything. Well, a guy went down there, and he came back, and he was telling everybody that he found these giant blue beings, and they had what kind of sounded like cell phones, but this was in the 1950s. And so this is actually a 1950s news article, for this little nowhere town. But the guy comes back and he's trying to convince people to go back with him because he wants to go back and find these blue beings again. And everybody, nobody else wanted to go that deep into the cave because you didn't have to go that deep to have fun in there.
Hmm.
And so he ended up not ever coming back up. And this story is, yeah, it's local folklore, but there's a news article. So it was something that actually happened at that time where he had, they documented it. And I think that that's interesting. But whenever you think that Bigfoot, now I have different takes on Bigfoot. I do think he's interdimensional. I do live in an area where Bigfoot is a common, people that grew up here are like, have you seen him yet? And I'm like, no, like, I haven't. Like, where is he, But we went to Mountain View, which is even deeper into the Ozarks. You
Hmm.
know, it's like up on a mountain and kind of
Pretty
isolated.
area, very pretty area.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
But on the way back, the GPS, it's nighttime, and the GPS gave us this weird way to get home. For the first time ever, I thought, this is where he lives. Wherever we were on this dark road headed back, felt like any minute Bigfoot was just going to jump out. And I thought, why is there even a highway here? We're like on the side of an Ozark cliff or something, and you can only go 20 miles per hour, and it's supposed to be the highway. And it was just like this, and it just had a feeling like you were so in the middle of nowhere that that's where he would be, right? He's not, you're not going to see him at your hunting spot, right? Like when people are, I mean, you could, you could, but I mean, like if there's these beings of the forest and things, well, and they have any type of natural instinct and mind still, there's so many places in the Ozarks for them to disappear into. I mean, like whole cities could fit. Listen, there probably are whole cities literally under us, but I mean, I think that we have the setup with all of the fresh water. We have more natural springs and aquifers than any other place in the country, I think. And so we're kind of the heart of this part of the continent. And we've got diamonds, and we've got quartz, and we've got brine, which is old ocean water from when, and whenever everything was in ocean. We've got like petrified forest. Um, all of this together is, you're not going to go very far before you hit some kind of electromagnetic change, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that there's probably, I think there's still giants. I think that there are things living out in the woods that are still not, that nobody goes there. It's weird because it is like, we condense in, and then they've got the country, and then you've got like that other stuff going on. You know, we've had 2 or 3 bear attacks this year, I think. But as far as are you going to see a ghost, or are you going to see, there was a lot of Native American tales about different entity type things. There was like the horned serpent that lived along the riverbanks, and it was a spirit. You know what I mean? And you might see it, but it was a spirit. It wasn't like a Bigfoot type character. And then you've got the Nanahi, which I believe that's how you say it. And that was another type of spirit that kind of lived in the mountain. And they believe that they still live in these mountains. You've got the little people stories all coming out of here. And when you go to Eureka, I mean, when you get into some of these Ozark towns, you will notice like fairy tale culture is going strong. You
Absolutely.
know,
Sure.
like little people, Avatar people in the caves. Bigfoot gets the most credit, but there could be all kinds of things out there, though. you know.
I
For
love all
sure.
that.
I love that you brought up Bigfoot. You brought up
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot,
Yeah.
and it was early, it was like 5 minutes in, and you brought up Big. So Gabriel, up until very recent, well, I don't know, he flip flops a lot on the subject of Bigfoot. He was a very big
Skeptic.
skeptic, and then he said he believed, and then he changed back into
I
possibly a
redacted.
skeptic.
Yeah.
You read
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you
redacted.
because I go around and talk with different people and different things. So here's
Yeah.
the thing about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It seems that he does not want to hurt you, right? It seems like almost a guardian of the forest. Like little kids have gone missing, especially in
Yes.
Devil's Den, which is around like the Fayetteville area, I think. Little kids that had went missing, and they were found like in impossible situations, and all like they would say a big furry dog was my
Mm-hmm.
friend and taking care of me, and so
Heard
like,
this. Yeah.
right. So I don't, and the only time that they ever, I guess, would get mean, I'll just tell you a story, okay? So there's a guy, and he's out and he's hunting. So he's sitting up along a tree with his rifle, and he hears a branch. So he looks up, and there's like this giant foot hanging, dangling down off of, and whenever he looks up there, he noticed that it turns around and it like looks at him, and he's on the ground holding his rifle. So he shoots at it. Well, like right after he shoots, it's like right in front of him, right? So like immediately. So he jumps
Mhm.
up and he's fumbling around and he's trying to run to his car, for saying, to get out of there. And as soon as he jumps in his truck or whatever, the Bigfoot character like throws its body like at the window and talks to his mind like telepathically, because you'll hear that a lot, that Bigfoot is going to speak to you like through a different channel. And so, and he says, "Why did you shoot at me? I could have killed you. I could have hurt you a long time ago, and I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. And then for no reason at all, you tried to shoot me. Like telepathically." Anyway, after that, the guy's wife said that he won't go hunting anymore, and but it didn't hurt him. It kind of like tried to scare him or whatever. But when you mix those stories of Bigfoot and then you mix the documented accounts that we have, like at least three children that were very, very young, where they were found and they are all talking about being taken care of by like a furry animal or something, right?
Mhm.
So I think that maybe he's misunderstood.
I actually love that. So
I
it's
do
not
too.
that I disbelieve a Bigfoot. I just think Bigfoot might be a shapeshifter, if there is such a thing.
Right.
And so that's just my belief. I mean,
I could,
I've told my accounts here before. I heard knocking and all that. I've heard a goat man. So I do think it's probably the same entity.
I do. Well, because you hear these other ones, because there's like Wolfman
Yep.
is another
Mhm.
Ozark one. The most stolen sign in Arkansas is the Boggy Creek sign because of
Oh, yeah.
the Boggy Creek Monster or whatever. So every time they put that sign up, somebody steals it, and they
We
just
were
never.
actually going to steal that sign once, but it was gone.
No,
we
right?
were.
Like,
We were going to do it, but it was gone. I was like, dang it.
it's funny that they even just keep putting it back up, But but
For
they
legal
should.
reasons, I should redact that too. We were
Yeah,
never gonna,
redact that
yes,
comment
we
'cause
were
that
never
was
gonna
not that
steal a
never
sign. We were
happened.
just gonna take a picture of it.
Right. You would never do that.
No, never, never.
It's a joke.
Never. Never ever.
And we only noticed it because we were walking along the roadside picking up trash to be good citizens. That's how we noticed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We're
Right.
very good. Samaritan.
Right.
Yep, mhm, yep, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so the wild man theory in Arkansas first came from, because like all these big men stories go way back to different every culture. But in Arkansas, we have the new Madrid fault line runs through here, and it went
It
off
does.
the other day.
Hmm.
It was at 4, which is kind of high.
Yeah, it is. Did you
It,
feel it?
this I didn't, but in the Ozarks, you're on like a sponge. So
Yep.
like even if
Wow.
it went
Yep.
off, you would just kind of rock probably or bounce.
Right. Right.
But in the Delta, they have full sunken towns, right? Because whenever the New Madrid went off in 1812, it was such a strong earthquake that the Mississippi River traveled backwards, but whole villages in that area, their towns now, just dropped. It liquefied the ground, and entire villages fell into the ground.
Wow.
Well, Eureka
And
Springs has what, 2 floors that were flooded because of mud. So
Well, I
Mhm.
mean, Eureka Springs looks like something out of Tartaria. You can
it
take a
does.
tour of the city, like
Yep.
of how it was. Like you can walk through there on a tour, and there's like the old storefronts and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
And Hot Springs is suspicious for this as well, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
if there was such a thing as a Tartaria, then the hot springs would have been a really big deal even for them. But some of the buildings in Hot Springs look very kind of like out of place
They do.
for
Mm,
the
Kind of
they
time.
do.
gothic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very
Absolutely.
gothic.
Yeah.
And I mean, Eureka Springs is one of the most interestingly laid out cities in the whole country because of the way they built up on the mountain in
Yeah.
like these. Oh, to go walking there?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good
It's
workout.
Where's your
We
cardio?
frequent Rican Springs every year. We go to the zombie crawl, one of our favorite things to do
Yeah,
there.
yes, I want to do that
my
this
favorite.
year.
Yeah.
It is my favorite. Um, I
Bring
wanna
water,
I wanna
lots of
actually
water.
that's a oh man, food. Bring
Yeah,
food.
bring food. Yeah.
There's so many people in that little tiny town, and it's amazing that it just fills up the way it does. But then you're like, oh, there's like so many people. There's no food. we need
Right,
we
we
need
ran out
food.
of food. Right, there's more people here than they can like even really entertain. You know.
Right.
But it's
But
amazing. It's an amazing experience.
they have a
We always
wonderful
highly
haunted
recommend it.
hotels there too. We went to the Crescent. That was really cool. You're talking
Hmm.
about how the land feels. The Crescent is a very special place. You could feel it when you walk on that property.
And there's another one that doesn't get as much popularity. Probably just their branding wasn't as good, but it's on the little main street, and it's called
Yep.
the Basin.
The
Yeah.
basin.
And
Yeah.
it's still got like the old school ballroom and
Yep.
stuff. Like going into these places is like going into another place in time. But you have to
Mm.
think back then, this was the Great Gatsby era.
Right.
Whenever all that energy was left behind, so there was a lot of mafia, there was a lot of mobster stuff here. I mean, not that he's mafia or the mob, but you've got even like high political people. You got the Bill Clinton, and you know what I mean. You got like there's all these layers of Arkansas that people don't really know about. It was a major like mafia running
Well,
like
Babe Ruth was known to frequent hot springs. He had his own little area that they'd go and get massages at.
they would bring the baseball players down
Hmm.
here, and there was so many people coming to Hot Springs to heal during this time whenever you know the water would heal you, and you had to go get a prescription. You go to the doctor and get like a
Right.
prescription to go to the
Right.
water.
Right.
But there was
That's
so
crazy.
many, they were saying it was going to heal like everything. So there was so
Yeah.
many people coming here to heal from it that people were dying everywhere, right? Like people are literally just dying left and right. And this little Ozark town with not much around it didn't really even have any way to handle this.
Right.
And so they had these was it drive through cemeteries, I think, or funeral homes. Okay, so it would be like a boarding house on the top floor with like, ladies of the evening up there, I guess. And then on the bottom floor, you could have your funeral for your loved one and you could just drive your car through. So it was
Oh
literally
my.
like these places had like drive. So think of that with hot, steaming water coming up out of
Hmm.
everywhere, right? So all of those people that are just dying and all of this, that energy kind of gets locked into steam, right? And this is ghosts could be looked at in different ways because it could be like fragments of them, not their full. The rest of them has went on somewhere, but they left a fragment behind, and that fragment will get locked up in the steam, right? And so it doesn't ever go anywhere. It just keeps lingering, and so Hot Springs kind of has that vibe.
Those.
But it wouldn't even be just from them because it would be from probably any cultures that were around here. The mound people were all up and over here, right? And the mound culture, you got this whole other layer of this, whatever this was, where their entire civilization was set around these giant mounds that were older than the pyramids. And then you've got towns that, just whole areas sank. Where did the blues come from? Because the blues is coming from an area where everything sank. All that energy, all those bodies and those people are trapped in the ground. And so it's producing the vibration of like the blues. And if you go to like Mountain View, it's the folk music capital of the world. Like their
Hmm.
school band, we went the other day to watch the kids. Their school band are like little like hippies. They got like little banjos and like they're not playing like a regular band instrument. But so that's the folk music of capital of the world, and it has a folksy vibe because you're up in the mountain where it's airy, right? You've got all that acoustics under you, so they're bouncing the vibration they're making music with from the vibration coming off of the land. And it's just an hour difference where it's not a very big difference where you're going to have the blues came from this area where everybody sank, and got trapped up in there. And then if you go up here, you've got like water and caves, kind of
Hmm.
just a bump.
I love
But,
it.
I mean, are you going to see ghosts and stuff here? I mean, if you see them, you're going to feel it. Before most people are going to see a visual apparition, most people are going to feel something, right? Their head's going to hurt. They're going to get nauseous. They're going to be, they're because a ghost, if there is such thing that is coming towards you from the spirit world, the electromagnetic energy is going to react to your electromagnetic nervous center, right? And if the land is pulling you into something that is like where the veil is very thin, that's whenever you see Bigfoot. That's whenever you see a ghost,
I
is
love that. You do feel paranormal before you see it. You absolutely do.
I was
right.
Sometimes it's positive, and the road that you described when you're driving through, you thought Bigfoot could live in an area like that. There was a road. I wish I could remember what highway it was, but we took it from Eureka Springs to Hot Springs. It was probably the most
Wow.
gorgeous road I've
it
ever
was
been on.
beautiful.
It's
Just the
like
colors.
untouched land.
Right. It was
Beautiful.
just gorgeous, and there was a feeling around there, you know.
Yeah.
It was a very calm, natural feeling.
Yes.
And when you drive into hot springs, as we discussed earlier before we went on the program, that it does have to me, I didn't, I didn't like the feeling because there was so much of it. It was hard
Right.
to break through it because you have all these springs everywhere and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. In fact, hot springs was positioned to be the Las Vegas before Las Vegas was. The governor, made a choice not to allow that, and unfortunately, all the money kind of went somewhere else. But
Right.
there was definitely a vibe and a feeling and a natural draw to hot springs,
Well, Hot Springs is
Agree.
sitting on the actual vein of quartz, right?
right?
There's a place in Hot Springs. I have a reel about this too, and it is called Magnet Cove. And it's not in Hot Springs, but it's like somewhere right by, one of the little towns. And it is like this whole town is just sitting on like a magnet, right?
Hmm.
And so, whenever you start to really looking at cartography and stuff, you realize that Arkansas is on the line of the 33. It's between the 30,
Right.
like this area, and the 36th degree parallel. Well, that's where all these sacred sites are lined up on this one line. And Arkansas sits right in the center of everything. So it's kind of like what amplifies everything out from here, right? Because quartz amplifies. Whenever the quartz is down there in this hot water, and you've got this magnets, and this, you got all these different things. You've got diamonds. You got all these different minerals are sitting here, and they're getting in all this water, and then they're like amplifying whatever energy they want out of Arkansas. Think Walmart, right? Think people who know how to use that kind of manifestation. You know what I mean? Like Walmart is in the nowhere town in the Ozarks, and it is literally like the largest store in the world now. And so it's probably no accident that that happened, because they were shooting it out of Arkansas.
Right.
And because you've got all that water, you've got all that quartz, you've got all that limestone. And Mena has a glowworm. So Mena is part of the Ouachitas. Mena's famous for its own reasons. But it's got a mountain with glowworms that come up out of it, and they're large and they glow like in the dark. And so that
Shut
tells
the
us,
hell up! I love that.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Could you give me one and mail it? That'd be cool. I want one of those.
I haven't seen them.
Oh,
I've had people that live there talk about seeing them, and the weather has to be just right for them to come up.
right.
But the only way that most things are going to get a glow like that is if they are coming up from a very dark, dark, dark place down below. So for them to come up out of the ground, they've probably got a full city under the mountain in Mena. You know what I mean? Um, we've got all these lakes here. There was all these rivers, and it was the Blue Highway.
Hmm.
And so there's all these rivers in Arkansas that people could travel on and stuff, and they dammed them up. And so they made it to where there are these lake towns now, but they
Right.
stopped that, the moving water. Well, I think that potentially that made a lot of sense during those Cold War years. If you were going to build like a whole city underground, that you would put that city under all the water. For one, a bomb wouldn't do anything to you because it would hit water, but you would have all that hydroelectricity because they dammed up some of the most significant waterways that you will never, even if they took the dams down, they'll never go back to where it was. You know, it
Right.
would just flood out more places. And so, but they only did that for like a 30-year use. That's a big move to make on the ecology of the land. Like, for such a short term thing, we're going to dam up all of the waterways, you know?
Right.